All right, the first first half, I'm assuming, of chapter 3 of The Blood of the Vampire, where I think we're setting up for a murder mystery, which I guess makes sense if we've got an energy vampire here, where you're getting introduced to all the characters, and the Baroness Goblet is definitely high in the ranks of the most unlikable person there, which is saying something because Eleanor Layton is completely a snooty bitch. To put it in the vernacular, she is really cold, and they're talking about Eleanor's interactions, just by this point, letter interactions with Ralph Pullen, one of the other Pullen brothers. Margaret has married Arthur Pullen. Not Arthur Pullen. Yes, Arthur Pullen. There's Arthur Pullen, Ralph Pullen, and Anthony Pullen, who apparently is an author and shown himself to be a genius. He outstripped Ralph in school, and Ralph was somewhat jealous of him. But poor Ralph is engaged to marry Eleanor Layton, who is from an aristocratic family, and that's basically kind of seems to be the beginning and the end of the attraction. She is kind of a very kind of icy, cold beauty. Basically, it's like she's somebody who's like, what's it, dog in the manger, I think is what she called her. It's like she doesn't particularly want this, but she's not going to let anyone else have him. And she makes sure that she never bends to any of his requests if they conflict with her own, and sometimes even if they don't, to basically, it's like you're going to be under my thumb. Definitely is the thing. It's like you get the sense of Ralph should run right now, but probably is not going to be able to, because if Eleanor has decided this, she's going to hold on with that fierceness of a dog who's got what they want. Even if they're not going to enjoy it at all. It's like a bone you're not going to chew. Your husband's bone is not particularly going to get chewed in this situation. But yes, we continue to get Baroness Goblet, basically kind of a confirmation of, she is exactly how people have described her, which is somebody who beats people with a stick, who is horribly abusive to her son, and dominates her baron husband. We basically get that scene of, like, she basically says, nope, you're finished eating, you can't have any more of the shrimp. He said, but I've been peeling all of Baron's shrimp, I haven't had many myself. It's like, no, you're not going to have any. So he kind of walks off in a huff. He is definitely coded as highly emasculated, possibly gay son. And interestingly enough, the servant William tries to sneak him some food, which might hint at a different kind of relationship there. I don't know if it will be explicit in the thing. The Baroness catches him and threatens to beat him with a stick, thus kind of confirming all the stories we heard. It's like, okay, this isn't just jealous people. She is a force of nature, and abusive, tyrannical one at that. But still, Eleanor is kind of still crappy. We get to meet in this section because Harriet is here, but in a little less of a thing. She is here, and her traveling companion is here, whose name is she is sickly young woman who was also in the convent, though she rarely saw Harriet Brandt. She's a much younger. She's like 17, and by that point, the young woman whose name I still cannot find was, yes, Mademoiselle Brimont. Brimont is the name of the young woman, and she's definitely feeling ill. And yes, Harriet spent a lot of time caring for her on the trip over, which is probably, and she also describes feeling horribly weak and hollowed out and stuff like that. But yes, is hoping to meet up with her. She's going to meet up with her brother. And it was because that she couldn't find anyone to travel with that she didn't come sooner to her brother. So yes, now Eleanor and Harriet. And another thing, um, Margaret Pullen has noticed that Harriet is looking at her, basically looking at her with lust, like longing. And indeed, it's actually explicit in the text that she says, like, "Oh, I've heard of young women forming romantic attachments to other young women. You know, it's obviously it's a phase you're going through, that kind of thing." And it's like, "Oh, I think she's kind of forming. She's starting to try and form that kind of relationship with me." So we've got that kind of lesbian, or sapphic or whatever, energy vampire thing going on here. So she's a foreigner. She's showing same-sex attraction, and she's an energy vampire. So it's that kind of little mix. But there's a whole lot of mixes of stuff in there. Like there's some weirdly kind of S&M things going on with the Baroness. There's the kind of the cold, withholding, frigid Eleanor, where this is how she's like, she doesn't have any male friends. She only has women friends, and it would be interesting to see if that is also. It'll be interesting to see. There's some interesting dynamics and sexualities and stuff going on in this story. Thankfully, we haven't talked about Black people in the West Indies again. I guess I just remember that is kind of an underlying thing in here. And yes, that knowing going in that Harriet Brant is of mixed heritage. Black and white is going to be is something that kind of underlining the thing. Eleanor, who is the kind of the classic beauty, she has thin lips, where Harriet has wide big mouth with big lips, which would be considered actually very attractive and sexy, and women kind of accentuate that with makeup. But at the time, thin lip was the way to go for a ideal female white coated beauty of the time. I will leave it there. More videos later.